Alrighty. See that some of us are already here. How's it going, everybody? I know I'm a little bit late to the chapter review and all of that. I got my phone right here ready to actually get into this. I know before we even get into the review of chapter 368, I know chapter 369 has been leaked and all of that stuff, and I've already I've already seen the leaks. But this is not what it's going to be about. You already know I like to talk about the chapter when it officially releases, and since it's not officially released yet, I'm not going to talk about the chapter. I mean, we can talk about it a little bit towards the end if we're feeling it, but I like when a lot of the viewers and stuff like that, because there are some viewers who aren't going to keep up with leaks and stuff like that. So, we can talk about it towards the end, because I do have a lot to say about it, and I do think it's a really good chapter, but since there's no official translations out and stuff like that, I don't want to get too into it. But this will be definitely solely, this whole stream is solely around chapter 368, and that's what it's mostly going to be about. So let's get into it. This chapter, I'm just going to say it right now, chapter 368 is definitely one of the best chapters in the series right now when it comes to fights and stuff like that, because this fight is already starting off pretty good, and it got me hyped. Trust me, it got me hyped when Deku starts going crazy. When I first read the chapter a couple days ago, I was screaming. I couldn't believe how crazy things were going on. Right, finally we got the reveal of the second user of One For All's Quirk, and it's really cool. It's really cool compared to what we see in the next chapter, because in the next chapter we do get to see him use his quirk, but it's not as crazy as it is now with the added power of One For All, and Deku using it, being the ninth user and all that. So like I said, I'll get into that later, but right now this is all about Deku using the second user's quirk, and we'll get into it. But we have to talk about the controversy that kind of came out with this chapter. I feel like in every stream I'm always talking about some new controversy that goes down with My Hero Academia, or I'm bringing up some old controversy because I want to I want people to realize or to know some of the craziness that goes on with the series in itself. I know other mangas have this sort of there's some controversies that surround them, especially sometimes depending on the mangaka, or even stuff that goes on in the series. But this one is definitely, I think it's a little funny. I do kind of understand where people are coming from, but at the same time, for me, when I'm looking at what's going on, I look at it from the point of in the series, if I'm actually in the series and stuff like that, or just someone who's invested in the world, right? Not really what's going on. But so Horikoshi, for the chapter, this being a big chapter, right? 368, Deku and Shigaraki finally going at it. Horikoshi drops a color page, or he draws something out. It's colored, and it's like a bonus thing for us. And in this bonus, he draws Toru, and actually drawing Toru. We all know Toru is the invisible girl. She has no clothes on, and that's how she's invisible all the time, right? The only things that she wears that is visible at all times are her gloves and her shoes. But since her quirk works in a way where everything she has on doesn't turn invisible, the only thing that's invisible is herself, because that's the way her quirk works. She is naked all the time. So with that being the case, Horikoshi drew how Toru looks like how she really looks like in the manga. And we see without her quirk being on, or something like let's say Aizawa, for example, had shut off her quirk for a moment. That's basically what we're seeing right now. We see how she really and truly looks like without her being invisible, and she's naked. so I'm gonna describe it, because I'm not gonna show it, because of I don't want no guidelines to clap the shit out of me. But we see how she looks like. She is naked in the drawing, but it's naked in a way where Horikoshi drew those those police caution, keep out signs type of thing. There's tape. It's tape that's blocking all of the stuff. And obviously her hands are also blocking like the most important thing there, right? Like her private parts. So it's it looks in a not weird way. Like she looks cute, right? She looks like a cute girl and stuff like that, and she has like that innocent looking face, and it's very provocative and very like, weird. That's the way I can put it, because it looks weird to me. But with that being said, since this is a younger character, a minor to a lot of people, right? It has been catching some controversy. There was some controversy around it because, hey, this is a minor. Horikoshi drew her in a way where she's very revealing, and because that's her quirk and stuff like that, and she is there. And honestly, to me, it's not a big deal, only for the simple fact that this is a fictional character. This is I for me, I like seeing what characters kind of look like. I'm glad we get to actually see all of her face and stuff like that, even though I do believe we have seen it in like a different drawing. And no, actually we haven't. We've seen it like when she's like crying and stuff like that, and you can kind of see what her face looks like when she's invisible. You see it kind of twice, right? In team up missions and in the actual main story. But we never really get to see how she really, really fully looks like. And it's cool to see that, she has this greenish, blondish, pinkish hair that's going on. It's a lot of colors, right? It's cool that she has those sort of hair going on and stuff like that. And I'm kind of happy that we actually get to see her for the first time in this drawing. And that's kind of what I like about it, right? But that's as far as it goes with me liking about it. Besides that, I do think Horikoshi could have like went about it in a completely different way. I totally get why he went about it this way, because her quirk is invisibility, and she's in her hero costume, right? So if someone like Aizawa or All For One were to take away her quirk, that's how she would kind of look like in the middle of battle, or even just in the middle of doing stuff, right? And I understand it from that point of view, but we could have, Horikoshi, we could have had her in like the school uniform or something like that, right? It didn't have to be like this. But that's as far as it goes for me, right? I'm not really mad about it. I don't think it's as a big deal as a lot of people were making it out to be, but that's just me. Honestly, like, I don't care. I really don't. I don't look at it as any, like, I don't think it's hot or anything like that. I don't think it's this, that, and the third, and I don't think it's that bad either. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm the weird one for thinking that it's not that big of a deal. Again, this is a fictional character, so I'm only invested in, like, the lore and, like, quirks and stuff like that, and other characters, including her. I'm interested in her as well. I'm glad we get to see what she looks like, but that's as far as much I care about it, right? Other than, like, if it was like an actual person, that'd be different. But since it's like, a cartoon or a drawing, I'm not really that kind of crazy. Like, I'm not gonna get mad about it, especially since you don't really get to see anything crazy. So that's my thoughts on it. I know a lot of people have kind of been yelling at Horikoshi, have been saying a lot of these mean things and all that, but that's about it, right? But let's get into the chapter finally. I think it's about time we get into that. Let's drop the controversy. I wanted to talk about the controversy just because the controversy was kind of a funny thing that happened that I was like, damn, I can't believe this is going on right now, but that's about it. Again, sorry I do want to apologize for like the sort of later stream, because I know I do stream a lot earlier than this, and I know a lot of the other earlier guys are probably gonna miss it, but there's always, you can watch it later. But yeah, let's get into this chapter review. So the chapter basically starts off where the last chapter ended off at, which I didn't even talk about that chapter either, because I just was slacking that week. I'm not even gonna lie, I was slacking that week. I was slacking this week as well. I missed the usual time frame when we stream, but you know what, it's fine. The last chapter basically ended off with, hey, is Shigaraki in there? And that's where it basically ended off at, and this is where this chapter is picking up at. I really wish she wasn't invisible in the show. And hey Keto, how's it going? It's going great, DJ. It's going great. I'm I'm chilling. But thanks for asking. But yeah, so it's basically where the chapter picks up at. He's like, hey, is Shigaraki still in there, all for one? And that's where we start things off. And then Mirio's in the back, like, hold up. Why? I kind of get what he's saying, what's going on. Like, he's in the back, he's like, hey, I think I know what he's talking about. And then Shigaraki, or Shig for one, or all for one, whatever, right, is like, no, we've completely fused together. There's no chance in hell he's still in there, right? And then Mirio's like, I don't think so, right? Because I asked him a simple question earlier, like a little bit of a rude question, and he freaked out at me in this sort of childlike manner, right? So that gave us the hint that yes, Shigaraki was still in there, and we even see like a physical, not a physical representation, but we still see like Shigaraki is in there, or not even just Shigaraki, but Tenko himself is still in there, and we see that All for One is trying to push him back in from escaping. And I think that's really cool how we see that, because I don't think we've seen that anywhere else. That's not like a flashback panel or anything like that. That's what's currently going on within his body, right? Tenko is still trying to sort of get out of this fusion that Shigaraki has already been infused with, and All for One as well, right? He doesn't want to be a part of that, and he's slowly being a part of that, because we see that Tenko has the white hair now, right? He has the white hair. He's sort of getting into that Shigaraki-esque look where, after Tenko had killed his parents, Shigaraki became the white hair, right? So we see that he has the white hair now. We see that he kind of has that crazy, deranged look on his face, but All for One is still trying to push him back in, and we see that Tenko is still in there fighting. So that's what this chapter is kind of really about, that Deku is trying to still reach into the body of Shigaraki to get to Tenko. And that later on we'll see, like, hey, one of the users, Nana, she's like, hey, he's still in there, we got this. And the main goal of this is that Deku is trying to save Shigaraki, or trying to save Tenko, right? He's trying to prevent himself from killing him. So that's what this is about. He doesn't want to kill him, but if he has to, he will. That's kind of what we're getting at. He's trying to save him. He's trying to, prevent something really bad from happening. And that's kind of a cool thing that's going on, that I'm really enjoying this aspect of in the manga. Because yes, even though we all know that there was a lot of people that kind of hated the idea that, oh wow, we're gonna get a talk no jutsu type of thing going on, but it's a lot different than how, like, I'd say a Naruto character would go about it, right? Naruto character didn't sort of have this sort of like, double side to them, where one is evil and the other side is pretty good, and he's trying to escape. He's trying not to be fused in with that bad part of him. And that's what Deku is trying to reach out towards. So, and like I said, this is basically Shigaraki with his split personality, right? One is Tenko and one is Shigaraki. And that's kind of what I like about it. But of course, All for One is trying to deny all of this. He's like, hey, there's nothing going on here, there is no Tenko, there is no Shigaraki, it's just me, it's just this new form of All for One and Shigaraki fused together, and that's all there is. But of course, like I said, Mirio snitches him out, and then we get to see right after this that the kind of lost focus. Hello. All right. Oh well, whatever. Besides this thing losing focus, that thing really lost focus. Holy shit. There we go. All right. Sorry for that, like, little weird thing that just happened. Like the webcam lost focus of me. But yeah. So continuing on, right? We see as things start going crazy, Shigaraki's body is trying to adapt, and we see that this is like an ongoing thing as well, where due to like the whole Quirk singularity thing that's going on within him, that his body is continuously adapting to what is going on. And we know that his body isn't just physically adapting to what's going on. Of course, it's physically adapting as we see it moving around and changing its shape, but it's also adapting to what is going on within him mentally as well as physically. So we see that when Deku or when Mirio and stuff like that bring up the fact that yes, Tenko is still there, or a hint that yes, Tenko is still there, right? That we see that Tenko, due to him still being in there, we see that his body adapted and shaped his dad's face, Tenko's face. Well, Tenko's dad's face, right? And we see that one of the fingers on Shigaraki's body transforms into that face, and then Nana Shimura is like, yes, he's still in there. There's still a chance, right? So we see, and I like what I like about this, right, is that Nana Shimura makes eye contact with that with the recreation of her son's face, right? And to me, it's pretty sad and dark at the fact that, you know, he killed, right? You know, Shigaraki or Tenko, whatever you want to go about it, right? Killed her son, and that's still her son, and as we know, like, Nana Shimura doesn't really know about what terrors or what bad things her son has done to his son. But it's cool to see that, you know, she's like very sad about it. Like, she sees that her son is there. Her son has been molded into this creature. Her son, as this like little molded body part, is looking right back at her, and then she's like, wow. like her eyes like have this totally different look to it, where it's just like, damn, he is still in there, because his memories are taking the shape through his body of her son. So, you know, I like that aspect because it just shows a little bit of her motherly side. Like, she knows, right, that Tenko is still within there because of what she saw from her son, as from that little body part. But it, you know, it's still pretty sad because, you know, despite her love for her son, he still went on and did some terrible things to his son that she will most likely never know about, unless, you know, as I stated in my one theory, that, you know, if Deku gives Shigaraki one for all towards the end to sort of defeat him, which, if you want, that's a thing on the channel already, if you want to watch that and sort of kind of understand what I'm talking about when I say that. But yeah, continuing on, the battle continues after this, right? She tells Deku he's still in there, and then they start brawling out. And we actually get to see a lot of cool stuff. Like, Horikoshi did not slow things down. He did not, like, you know, slow it down to where he doesn't need to draw much. He picks up this action pretty quickly. The last couple chapters, it started with Deku like full sending it, punching the shit out of Shigaraki. When he makes it there, he does the slingshot and all that, which I thought was really dope. And he even, you know, towards the beginning of this battle, even though nothing's really going on, he still does some amazing artwork with the fact that, you know, when we see All For One trying to push in Shigaraki from escaping this fusion, and of course when we see Shigaraki, or Shig for One in the present day and stuff like that, in his form, in his crazy defense form, right? That looks like it's a lot of work to draw, and I do praise the fact that Horikoshi is capable of doing this, especially on a weekly basis. Yes, even though he does take some weeks off, he's still working on it. He's still making sure that this art looks good for a weekly basis. So I'm glad, you know, Horikoshi isn't really pulling any punches with the way he's drawing this. Everything looks really good. And this is when we get to the crazy part, because we finally see what this crazy ass quirk that the second user of One For All has, because Deku finally uses it in the fight. And he's like, he's talking to All For One in this moment. He says, "Know this, All For One, I won't let you have your ideal ending either." And then we see like him doing this crazy thing with Black Whip. It's crazy, you know, it's crazy. He's combining quirks together I believe he combines Fajin with Black Whip, and we get this like cool little ring Black Whip looking thing going on. I can't even explain it correctly because it just looks that badass to me. I think that the fact that he's using this quirk combinations in this way shows like there's an infinite potential of what he could actually do with all of these quirks. And I'm kind of glad that Horikoshi is showing this, but I'm also a little bit upset at the fact that Horikoshi, or not Horikoshi, but the fact that we're getting all of this in this fight instead of like seeing this build up a little bit throughout the series, or you know, because he's just pulling all of this off right now. And I could understand if some viewers or some readers even is like, damn, you know, I wish we could have seen Deku use these quirk combinations before the fight. But I also like the fact that we are getting some new things instead of him just using straight Black Whip or straight smoke screen and stuff like that. I like that he's combining these quirks together, and it makes for very cool visuals, which I'm really digging in this chapter. Now, and of course what he calls this new move is Black Chain, which I think it's really dope. He's like swinging Shigaraki around. It's so cool. But we finally get into the second user's quirk, right? The second user finally, he's gonna use it. He's gonna use the second's quirk, and as we know from plenty of chapters ago, this is something that the second was like, don't use it right now. You know, we're in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, but do not use it to gain speed or to make it to this fight, which I know you want to make it to this fight, but you can't make it there now. You can't use this quirk. It's too powerful. And we see what it finally is. And I believe it was called Transmission, but I think we'll get into it in a second. But he's Shigaraki, after getting swung around like a freaking puppet, right? Like a freaking ragdoll. He lands on his feet and he says the second's transmission, right? Deku says the second's transmission, and he does this really cool hand sign where he does this, and then he transmits, right? It's like a sort of like Dragon Ball, where he does the instant transmission. He instantly, like, we don't even get to see him yet. We just see Shigaraki already in the air once he says transmission, and he does this little teleport. And he goes into second gear, third gear, and top gear. And what this is sort of like a reference to cars, right? The way cars, you know, you have stick shifts, and when you shift your gears, you're shifting gears. You go faster, or you can go slower and stuff like that. That's kind of like how some cars work. I think it's an automatic or manual. I could be brain dead when I say that. I'm sorry. I'm not really a car guy. But I like how this is definitely a car reference and stuff like that. And the visuals of the second gear, him going to third gear and going to top gear, are probably some of the coolest visuals, because we can tell that he is just straight up mobbing on Shigaraki and sending him flying in the air. This is like, when I said earlier that when I read the chapter for the first time, I was screaming because of how cool it looked. This is when I started going crazy in the chapter, because it just looked so amazing. Shigaraki. Deku, like, just instantly teleports to Shigaraki. He gains a bunch of speed from transmission and shifting gears, and he's just mobbing on him. He's just sending him flying across the map. And I think it's one of the coolest things that we've seen in the manga so far. Of course, like I said, one of my favorite fights is Stars and Stripes versus Shigaraki. Visually, the best fight, right? But this fight, what's going on in it and stuff like that, the stakes and everything behind it, I think this is some of the coolest stuff that we've seen in the series right now. But like I said, Stars and Stripes, as of right now, is still my favorite, just because this fight hasn't yet concluded. We don't know what is going to be the ending of this fight could change everything, especially when it comes to me feeling like what's the best fight in the series. Unless we get like a Bakugo versus Deku part 3, then of course I feel like that would be the best fight in the series, but it wouldn't be like, you know, they're not going to be killing each other or anything like that, just because I feel like they're at that point in their life where they respect each other to to an extent, right? Well, especially when it comes to Bakugo, because Deku's always respected Bakugo, but Bakugo's kind of now getting to that where he's like, you know what? Maybe I was a little bit of a dick, you know. So that I'm really loving the fact that Deku's new quirk is kind of car related, and he gains a bunch of extra speed. But moving on, because I know I was on a tangent with that. That's how much I love that moment. We get a little bit more information on transmission. Now this quirk is, you know, he has the gear shift thing. He goes into overdrive mode, and we learn that he is basically using 120% of One For All. He can use 100% of One For All just because the second and third user gave him that access, right? They gave him the chance to use their powers, and they were kind of holding him back to an extent back many chapters ago. But right now we learn that he's using 120%. This isn't no game. This isn't 100% Deku, right? This isn't like some All Might stuff where All Might was using 100% at one point. This is 120%. And this shows us that he is definitely at the point of already having surpassed All Might. And I say this because he does some damage. He does some damage. And like I said, I'm not going to get into the next chapter that much, but in the next chapter we see, you know, he does some big damage. But like, you know, how Shigaraki says a couple chapters ago when he's frying Sun Eater, he's like, what do you think that was gonna hurt Prime All Might? He's doing damage to that Prime All Might is doing. He's doing damage that surpasses Prime All Might. He's moving faster than the speed of sound, which isn't, I've seen people kind of like use this feat as something crazy, but it's not the craziest feat that we've seen in the series, if I'm going to be completely honest, because we have sort of seen them react to the speed of sound before, or past the speed of sound, that's what you want to say it. That's not really a crazy feat for me. It's just for Mirio. He's like, yo, I couldn't even hear the attack. I just saw him already flying, right? That's all it was. But it's not the craziest thing that we've seen in the series. We've seen that sort of feat already been, I wouldn't say surpassed, but we've already seen that feat back during the Endeavor Agency arc, where Endeavor hears an attack before it really makes it to, like, the sound wave makes it to them. So we know that these characters can surpass the speed of sound. At this point, it's like, yo, the reaction times, what they can react to are definitely at sort of the speed of light level, and that's reaction times. That's not them moving as fast. You know, moving at the speed of light is different from reacting to the speed of light. So we know these characters can react to things like the speed of light, but they, you know, this moving faster than the speed of sound still isn't a humongous feat, in my opinion. We already know characters that can move at the speed of light. If you read Vigilantes, you know exactly who I'm talking about, Overclock. But, you know, that still, it's not that big of a feat, in my opinion. But it's still really cool that Mirio, of all people, is just like, whoa, you know, I couldn't even see that coming. I didn't even hear that. But yeah, Overdrive, getting to finally see the second's quirk was definitely, it didn't let me down, right? I am gonna say that I kind of was expecting something a lot different than what we got, just because the second, back in those chapters, like before the Stars and Stripes squadron came and like picked them up, right? I did think it was gonna be a lot crazier than that, just because the second was like, oh, don't use my quirk right now, you know, that you gotta use that as a last minute thing. And to me, that was just like, when we finally got to see it, it's kind of like, wasn't kind of that crazy, right? Even though visually and you know, it looked cool. It looked cool seeing how he instantly transmitted to Shigaraki and then beat the shit out of him, right? That was cool. I'm not gonna lie, that was definitely cool. Again, highlight of the chapter for me. But I still was expecting something crazier. But it also shows us that with this quirk, where he can like change the speed of something, which that's what the quirk is, that's what transmission does. He changes the speed, and that's why, you know, it's a reference to cars and stuff like that. when you shift gears, you're changing your speed. So when he went with this quirk, he's changing his own speed and stuff like that. That's why he's moving at, not moving, but that's why he has, like, he's using 120% of One For All, not just 100%, because of him transmitting or using the transmission, doing gear shifts and overdriving his body so that he can use 120% instead of like the base 100. I think it's still really cool. I think I can't like explain why I think it's really cool. I think it's just like, and I keep saying I think a lot, but it's just pleasing to me that we got to finally see this. We finally know what every quirk is. There's no sort of secret behind it, and it's just cool. I feel like I was going to say something earlier, but I kind of forgot. But that's kind of my review of the chapter. I very much enjoyed everything about it. I think this is one of the best chapters. I don't think a lot of people were very mad about this chapter. I feel like if you were angry with this chapter, it was going to be about the color page that came out, right? But besides that, this chapter was really, really good. And I didn't really see a lot of people complaining. I did see, however, which I think is hilarious, right? I've seen that a lot of the people who have been hating My Hero Academia lately has sort of switched up when this chapter came out, right? This chapter I've seen get a lot of good reviews from a lot of different people that have been kind of shitting on My Hero Academia, and they said, oh, this is like one of the best chapters, this is peak, this is this and that, oh, My Hero Academia is back, right? And I'm over here like, My Hero Academia never left, baby. Right? Like, where have you been at, you bandwagoner? But that's kind of like how I've been, what I've seen on the internet recently, with everything that's been going on, especially with the leaks and stuff like that. A lot of people are switching up. Which I think is hilarious. But again, this chapter was really good. It was definitely one of the better chapters. Now, I do want to ask if we should get into the next chapter spoilers, because I do have some things I want to say about it, and I know there's some people watching right now, but I do want to get to sort of hear from you guys first on what we should be doing for that. Should we talk about a little bit about it right now, or should we just wait for the next stream, which I'm going to try and get that done like at least on Tuesday. I know I slacked off, waited till Thursday and stuff like that as soon as the freaking leaks come out today, but it be like that. Your boy is kind of like working really hard on some scripts right now. Also, while I wait for some of you guys to type in there, we have memberships on the channel. I've put them on. It's not much. It's $1 if you want to support. Again, you don't have to do it. Just saying, you don't have to do it. Liking, subscribing, sharing, and all that stuff, that's all appreciated. Everything's appreciated no matter what. But there are memberships. We have an All Might badge, which I think is pretty cute. If you want to check it out, you could just go to the channel page, click join. It doesn't sign you up immediately or anything like that. You click join and you get to see what you get for being a channel member. And it's basically, you get a badge, which I put as an All Might badge. I had them custom made, and there's 2 emotes right now. I do want to put more emotes in the future just because I think the emotes are pretty cute. I think they go hard, but I'll put them in the chat right now, actually. These are the 2 emotes that are in for, where the hell? Those are the 2 emotes that are in right there. And that's what we got right now. So those are the emotes. I'm gonna have more made later on. But yeah, that's what we got. And of course, you don't have to do it. Channel members are always appreciated. Regular subscribers are always appreciated. It doesn't matter. That's just a side thing. But with that on the side, with that little plug taken out of the way, again, thank you for listening and staying for that. But we have DJ in the chat saying, well, you can do you, kid. I'd say let's talk about it. I think we should talk about it just a little bit. We're going to talk about the leaks for chapter 369. Nice. Right? We're going to talk about the leaks for a little bit. I'm not going to go too crazy into it. I'm probably just going to talk about the beginning of the leaks just because there is no official translations out yet. And I don't like talking about stuff without the official translations or anything like that. That's just how I am when it comes to this. And I also like it when viewers or people who watch the channel are, they have access to it. Because I know a lot of people don't really look at leaks like that. They just wait for the official releases. And sometimes that's how I am. That's why this chapter 368, I was very hyped up about it because I didn't see the leaks to it. I just read it when it came out, and it hit me. It hit different. I'll tell you that, it hit different. But yeah, so let's get into it. Chapter 369. Let me pull up some of these leaks just so I can talk about it correctly. So I'm looking at some of the leaks right now. And the beginning of chapter 369 opens with a flashback. It opens with a mini flashback that lasts 2 pages. And this little flashback kind of gives us a lot to theorize and talk about, because this flashback opens up with a flashback to way back in the day. Way back to when All For One, it had already, they fought already. The fight is over. All For One had just defeated the second user of One For All. And we see this. We see All For One is choking him out in midair. He's just lifting him up in the sky. There's no actual damage done to All For One. All of the damage we see that's being done to somebody is the second user. The second user is all bloodied up. He's murked. He's basically on his last breath, and he's just lifted up in the sky by All For One by his throat. And we see something very interesting here, which is what I really want to talk about for this chapter, because I don't think I'm going to get into the rest of it. But this, we see on All For One's face that he has these weird lines coming down his face. Now, I did think, I'm finally excited to see that giant spinner fight. No, that's not really a spoiler. We already knew that Spinner was already on the battlefield. But going back to what I was saying, it's not a spoiler. Don't worry about it. And plus, everybody here knows that we're talking about chapter 369. I gave the spoiler already that we're talking about chapter 369, so it's fine. We could talk about it. If somebody comes in, let them know that this is chapter 369 spoilers and stuff like that. So, that's what it is. But continuing on, right, we see that All For One has these white streaks down his face. Now, originally, I thought All For One was crying. But I think this is an effect or a side effect of a quirk that he is using. And, just because you said that, just because you said that you thought you spoiled it, I'm actually going to change the title of the stream to also say that we're doing 369 spoilers, because plus 369 spoilers. I'm sorry. Plus chapter 369 spoilers. All right. Nice. I just saved the title. The title has changed and everything, so that way people know. Sorry about that. Yeah, I should have done that from the get-go, but I didn't really know what we were kind of going to be talking about. But, all right, so continuing on. I originally thought All For One was crying, but it looks to be a side effect of a quirk that he's using. Now, it could be the quirk that we see him use when he destroys an incoming bullet that the second user used his quirk on. As we know, the second user has this gauntlet that looks like the purpose of the gauntlet that we all thought was like a Bakugo gauntlet, right? The purpose of the gauntlet was to sort of him having bullets in it and then changing the trajectory of the bullet and then shooting it. That's kind of what we can assume that it is right now, because that's kind of like the only assumption we can make. He has a gauntlet. It shoots something out that we know of, because he was ready to shoot the shit out of Yoichi when he first met him, and we know that his quirk changes the trajectory and speed of stuff. So that's pretty much what we're getting the gist out of, and it looks like he can kind of control it to a certain extent, because we see that a bullet is coming from behind All For One and is going to hit All For One in his head, but of course he stops it with this quirk that we don't know what the quirk is, but he stops the bullet with a quirk. And I'm going to take a sip of some water because I am dried out. Ugh. God. Stay hydrated, boys and girls. But yeah, so he uses a quirk, it destroys it, and it seems that the second can control where the bullet goes or stuff like that. Unless he did like a cool trick shot where he shot a bullet off of a wall and stuff like that. But, you know, I don't think so. I think he can control the bullet and where it goes. But All For One destroys it. We see All For One has these white streaks, and like I said, I thought he was crying because it seems that this is where kind of Yoichi might have died. And I say this because we see that at this point, the second has to have One For All. And the reason why I say this is because it looks like All For One tries to steal the second's quirk, but the second is smiling. It's like he knows his quirk can't be taken. And All For One, well, in the panel that kind of divides the second's smile and All For One's, you know, his reaction, it looks like he's looking at an ember of One For All, or something like that. It looks like maybe at this point his quirk has already gotten transferred over. I'm still not sure, but because we don't really get an explanation at all. The only thing we get is just scenes of this flashback and what seems to be current day All For One talking over it. It's not, we don't see what they're saying, we don't hear what they're saying, we just hear current day All For One talking over a panel of flashbacks. And that's kind of what the translations or like what people gave the summary on, the, you know, the people who can read Japanese and are giving us the summaries and translations of what's going on, right? That it seems that's what's going on. It's just current day All For One talking over a flashback. But continuing on, right? We see that he notices an ember, and then we see All For One is shocked. He either cannot steal his quirk, or he or, you know, because the second is smiling, the second must have told him about Yoichi, what happened to Yoichi. And that's kind of what I'm getting at. And this kind of like relates to a theory that I had, right? Because this theory that I had called All For One's true goal is that, you know, since he loves his brother, Yoichi, that the reason why he's after One For All is because he wants to be reunited with him because of whatever happened to him back then, right? We don't know what really happened to him. We still don't know because this chapter doesn't tell us really anything, right? It just shows us that the second is about to possibly die, which I don't think he actually dies in this moment either, and I'll get to that in a second. Like I said, this is a bunch of things we could theorize right now. And this, you know, All For One is trying to get reunited with Yoichi again through One For All, and that's what his goal is. And we see that he's probably learning about the transfer of his quirk in this moment. That's what I'm kind of seeing, right? And this is kind of like where his drive begins to, like, you know, go after One For All, go after the quirk that never obeyed me because my brother is in there and he wants that, he needs that. And that's what I'm thinking. But like I said, it looks like he can't get his quirk, or something is going on. We don't get any explanation about it, which I kind of hate, but it's very cool to see that we're going to be getting a lot more All For One flashbacks. We're going to see a lot more things from All For One's perspective, and of course the users of One for All's perspective. It's going to be very interesting because a lot of people's complaints when it comes to All for One is that he is a very one-dimensional character, which I personally don't think yet, just because my argument for this is that this is something that isn't done yet. My Hero Academia isn't done yet. We don't know what All for One's backstory is, and typically when it comes to villains like All for One, when they're the big bad, we don't really get backstory for them until the very end of the series. And that's kind of what it looks like we're getting right now. We're going to be getting some sort of flashback explaining a lot of things very soon. And this is what this looks like it's what it's teasing that we're going to be getting. We're going to get something big very soon. And of course the end of the chapter also teases something else because it looks like we're going somewhere else entirely, and I can't believe that. But, you know, it is what it is. It's got me frustrated a little bit. But yeah, very, very interesting, right? That this is what's going on. And like I said, I don't think the second dies here. And the reason why I say this is because he has, in the One for All world, he has the scar on his face. And we see that every user that has died, they don't necessarily have any scars from when they died. And I say this because, you know, Nana Shimura got violated, right? She's gone. She died. We saw her die. We saw her get obliterated and blown up by All for One in that All Might flashback. We saw her get obliterated, but she has no sort of burn marks. None of her things is changed, right? Her body hasn't physically changed. When we see the sixth user of One for All, which was Nana Shimura's master, he lost an arm and then transferred his quirk. But he still has both arms, right? So the second here, he must still have One for All at this point, and that's why All for One is shocked, because he's like, yo, this quirk, why can I not take this quirk? It's frustrating me. and he's smiling about it. Well, the second is smiling about it because he's like, hey, you can't take shit. That's what I think is going on, because right here we see that the top of the second's face is bloodied. You know, it looks like he definitely got his scar during this fight. And so I feel like when you get a scar like that, or when something like that happens, your One for All vestige will then change, since you still have One for All in that moment and you didn't transfer it yet. I think he still has One for All there. And that scar is going to heal, and then he's going to die another day. I don't think he actually is going to die there. Just because the scar. And remember, the first time we see this guy, the first time we see the second user, and I know I'm going very hard on the second right now. The first time we see the second user in a flashback, he doesn't have it. He doesn't have the scar. But when we see the vestige of him, he has the scar. He has a scar across his head. Well, his face. And it has me wondering, does he actually die in this moment? Because it looks like he definitely got the scar here against a fight against All for One. And it looks like All for One can't steal his quirk. All for One is shocked. But then we go right back. It cuts right back. The flashback literally ends right then and there without any explanation. It ends with current day stuff going on, with Shigaraki being ragdolled by Deku. And of course we see after that All for One is capable of seeing the second user of One for All, as well as his brother, right? The first. So it's very interesting. This is why I want to wait for the official translation, because there are so many questions here that are probably going to be answered when the translations officially drop on Sunday or Saturday. And that, you know, I'm just not going to be able to tell or give good theories or anything like that until those translations really come out. Because one, I can't read. Well, I can read, but I can't read Japanese, right? I don't speak the language. I'm not versed in that way. So I can't tell you honestly what's going on in that perspective. I can't read it. So I'm I'm gonna wait for the rest of the chapter because because we're gonna do another chapter review. But since we're talking about spoilers, the chapter does end very, very cool because we see in the second to last page, right after we're done with the whole second user and all for one flashback because that's really kind of like the important thing of the chapter, honestly, for me. But we see at the end that all for one is basically like, I'm not done here, right? This isn't going to be it for me. I'm not going to let you have it that easily. And Deku in the last chapters basically said the same thing because they both said it. They're both not going to let it slide. Nobody's going to win this fight without something bad happening. And we see that Shigaraki, well, technically Shig for one, does this really, he arches his back. It sounds wrong. And we see what looks to be the lights of One for All behind him, or like behind the shot of him arching his back, and we don't know what is about to happen. And I'm very interested in finding out because the next chapter we're going to learn what this whole all for one light, or all for one lights, yeah, because I should say all for one lights just because it's sort of the One for All aesthetic look of those lights are behind all for one right now. They're not behind Deku. It would be One for All lights, but these are like the lights behind all for one. So I'm gonna call them all for one lights for now, till we officially know what's going on. And he has these lights behind him that are very reminiscent of One for All, and he's about to do something crazy. His hair spikes up, and it looks like he's going to be adapting into a third form. And I told you guys in a previous stream that we were going to see a third form, and I feel like it was going to come regardless whether or not I said it. I'm pretty sure a lot of you guys most likely picked up on that because his body is adapting physically and mentally to what's going on with him. So we're going to be seeing a brand new form within a chapter or so. We already see his body is kind of taking a new shape just because when he's arching his back and his hair is already spiking up, he's screaming to the top of his lungs. It looks like something is about to burst out of his chest, and his arms have these like little fingers coming out of them. So it looks like we're going to get a new form that's going to be something to rival what is going on in this fight, because like Shig for one has said, his body adapts to everything going on. This is the next evolution for people. That's what this whole thing was about, right? This is him in his Quirk singularity forms, which he's going to be in singularity form number 3, right? He's going to get a new form, and it's going to be something that will help him fight against One for All in this current Deku. And I'm very excited for it because, this is, like I said, in many times, this is going to be the biggest fight of the series, and we have to see something cool. Deku did his thing just now, but it's time for Shigaraki to clap back, or all for one, Shig for one, to clap back. Give Deku the sauce, so that way it's not a fight where it's completely one-sided. And I think that's what's about to happen right now. And of course, remember, every stream, every time we do a chapter review, every time we talk, all for one is in the background, lurking, making his way to the UA site. So it's, some big things are coming. And of course, the chapter ends with chapter 369 ends with us seeing Spinner. Kind of, it looks like this is what All for One's plan really is, right? Because it just immediately goes to Spinner at the very end of the chapter. And I believe Spinner is in the location of where Gigantomachia is at. So Spinner might succeed in actually releasing Machia. And that's what I think this is heading towards. And we know once Machia releases, or gets released and it gets freed and is out of custody, it's going to be big. It's going to be huge. And, I can't wait. Honestly, I can't wait. I'm excited for everything. I'm done talking about the chapters for right now. Just because, you know, I didn't want this to be very, very long. So yeah, we're gonna pick this up next week. Obviously, we're gonna stream for the watch party on Saturday at 5:30 a.m. because over here that's when Crunchyroll releases the episodes for My Hero Academia. I'm gonna try and get a timer set up. If not, I'm gonna watch the episode and I'm gonna be like, all right, guys, I'm starting it. I start it and then we watch the episode, right? Together. And that's how it's going to be. I'm not going to show it on the stream just because copyright. You know, I'm not trying to get violated by YouTube, right? Did almost at 9K subs and I'm going to get violated because I showed the episode on stream. But yeah, we're not going to watch the episode on stream. Like, it's not going to be on stream where everybody could watch it. If you want, you put me on the side. We watch it. It's, you know, it's a watch party. We watch it together. You play it on your screen. I play it on my screen. So, you know, other people play it on their screen. And when we watch the episode together, and then once the episode's over, we talk about it together, right? And that's what the watch party is going to essentially be about. And I'm very excited, right? I'm very excited just because I missed the first one because my dumb brain thought that, you know, with last season every episode came out on a Sunday. so you can see why I was going crazy. But I could also be mistaken because all the chapters were coming out on Sunday as well and stuff like that. And now they're coming out on Saturdays, so what the hell's going on? But yeah, I could be mistaken, but yeah, I thought Sunday was the first. We all know how that went. But yeah, of course, after that, after I get some sleep after the watch party and we talk about the episode, I'm going to be doing the anime versus manga video. I did record the script. I recorded a video or the audio for a video going over the MLA and the newscaster that I said I was going to do. That just has to be edited, but right now I'm kind of like you know, focusing on what's going on here. DJ. So I have to watch it on a different screen. Yeah, basically, yeah, because I can't have the episode played on the channel for copyright reasons, and that's kind of how it's going to go. And you know, I've been into other watch parties before, and that's how it's usually went. You know, I'm not gonna play the episode at all on screen. It's not gonna show up on screen. You're not gonna be able to hear it. I'm gonna try and have a timer on so that way people know where we're at. But that's about it, right? I'm not gonna show it on the stream just because I don't want to get copyrighted, and that's a bad way to get copyrighted. But that's pretty much what's going to happen with that. And yeah. And then we're going to talk about it afterwards. You know, if it's possible, if you have like a TV screen, just throw it on there. Doesn't matter. Or if you're on a laptop, hey, just open up 2 tabs, you know. But that's I know that's going to be a hard thing to do it if you're on your phone though. That I can understand. And of course, you could just watch the episode, and when you're done watching the episode, just come back to the stream and we talk about it, right? Or if you're sleeping or something like that, because it is going to be 5:30 in the morning Eastern Standard Time over here where I'm at. So, you know, whenever you could just watch when the stream is over and then skip to when we talk about it. That's always a good thing too. It doesn't matter. Water. But yeah, I'm probably also going to stream a little earlier too. Like, just so that way I don't die falling asleep. Even though I've been staying up really late recently trying to prepare myself for the weekend. I might play something on the channel, but it depends. It totally depends on when I do it. Because I might start streaming like 15-30 minutes ahead of when the episode comes out. Probably 15, just... or maybe 5 minutes, so that way you know, people aren't waiting too long. But yeah, I'm still kind of like working the kinks out. But of course, after that, I'm gonna work on the AMV, AVM, anime versus manga video, and I'm gonna try and get more stuff out after that as well. So that way it's just not filled up of anime versus manga. Even though I know a lot of people are loving the anime versus manga videos. Bro, first day the anime versus manga video dropped, that thing hit like 5K views immediately. So thank you guys for watching. I appreciate all the views and support and stuff like that. And hey, if you just came onto the stream, like, subscribe, and stuff like that, because we are going to be doing a lot more AVMs throughout the whole season. I know last time I promised I was going to do anime versus manga videos for the rest of the series, and I still do plan on doing that, just because back then I was burnt out because I was doing it weekly, and that was just half of the season. This year I'm doing the entirety of the season, and I'm going to try and, like, after the season's over, I'm going to try and spit those episodes out the best way I can, because I'm gonna try and cover them in seasons, like full-on seasons for each AVM video that comes out after that, discussing the rest of the series. So season 1 should be easy, just because that's 12 episodes long. I might need to split like the next couple seasons up into 2-parters, but we'll see about that. I'm kind of getting ahead of myself right now, and I know I am, but that's kind of my plan for the anime versus manga videos going forward, right after the season's over, of course. But I do also want to say I am currently working on this. I guess this is the update portion before we really end the stream. I'm currently working on what you call it, because I know a lot of people really love, and these are my most viewed videos on the channel, the How Rich Is and How Poor Is series. I'm working on another one, right? I know I said I was working on another one before, but I decided to put that one on hold until season 7, just because we're going to be talking about Aoyama, and I would want to wait until what everybody sees a lot of the stuff that goes on, so that way, one, it could get more views, but also because I don't want anime onlys to really get spoiled about it. So this new one that I'm working on, which I'm working on 2 different ones as well. This new one I'm working on is currently about All Might, which it's already breaking my brain because I cannot figure out how to price a building. Like, how do I put money on a building? Like, I don't get it. I don't know what the cost is for how much a building is, like how much it costs to own a building, not like have it built, because every time I search it up it shows me, oh, it costs this much to build a building, but it doesn't tell me how much it costs to buy out a building. And that's what I'm trying to figure. Yes, this is how rich All Might is. So yeah, All Might is that rich where he could buy buildings. But I'm going through that right now. I'm probably going to save the building aspect for that guy. I just said it anyway, so you guys know what's going on in there. The building aspect probably going to be saved for the end, towards the end of that video, and I'll get into the other parts of it, because All Might he got bread. But I'm going to go by history of old building. That's not bad. Thanks. You know what? I'll probably give you a shout out for that if I could really get it down. Cause yeah, I'm trying to figure out how to really go about that. Cause we all know in Vigilantes, All Might has an agency. So I'm trying to figure out the price of how much it would cost to own a building. So gonna figure that out. Once that is figured out, everything should go smoothly, and that would be able to come out soonish, during season 6. I don't know when in season 6, because this is something that has been frying my brain all week, and I only have a couple paragraphs written down for the script, because I can't get past this part, and it's very difficult for me. Maybe I'm just smooth brained where I can't figure it out, but I am working hard on it. And just so I guess you guys all understand kind of what I go through personally when making these videos, I'm trying to make it fun, and also like educational at the same time, because we are going to be learning about monies in the video and stuff like that. And that's what a lot of my How Poor Is and How Rich Is series works. Well, you know, if you've seen my How Poor Is Ochako video, you guys know I went hard with finding numbers and stuff like that. And my How Rich Is Kirishima video, I did the same thing. And now I am going to take feedback, because I did add in taxes, where Japan, you don't really have those. Taxes are already like embedded into the price of things. So I'm gonna, don't worry about it. I know some people came at my neck for that. I'm going to make sure that there's no taxes put into it. It's just the straight up price, because we all know in Japan the taxes are already inside the buying price. So I'm gonna get that situated as fast as I can, so I could probably get it out like in a month or two. And I say in a month or two just because I don't know how long that will take me. Plus, on top of weekly doing streams, as well as anime versus manga videos for the season, it's gonna take me a little bit longer than usual. But yeah, thanks, Moon. I'll definitely try looking in the history of buying and selling of buildings, just so I could get that price point. But of course, I'm gonna have to look for a specific kind of building. But thanks, I am definitely gonna try and look into that, just because that is going to help with the video so much. That is going to definitely help with the video a lot. I'm gonna look into that, and of course everything else following that should be pretty simple. I do have like I said earlier, I have the video of the MLA and the Daikaku, the newscaster, and that sort of connection going on there. I have that recorded. I'm gonna try and get that edited out and not sent out, but uploaded to the channel within a week or two. All I have to do is edit it. But this weekend, we're gonna do a lot of things this weekend, and I'm also going to be working on the AVM. So yeah, that's pretty much an update on everything. I'm working on it. Oh, I don't think I mentioned what the next How Rich's video is gonna be. It's gonna be about Momo. Everybody's kind of been asking me about it. Like, if you look, well, not everybody, but if you look in the comments for those under those two videos, people are like, do Momo, do Aoyama, do this, do that. So yeah, a lot of people have suggested a Momo video on the How Rich Is She, and I'm going to do that as well. That's kind of like the second video I want to get into. But if I can't figure out the All Might one, I'm definitely going to shift over to the Momo one and get that out first. But we'll see. It's all about what happens. But yeah, I'm probably about to go play some Overwatch right now. Just because Overwatch 2 just dropped. But yeah, thank you all for stopping by. Really, really appreciate it. It was fun. You guys already know I really love talking to everybody when it comes to My Hero Academia. I love My Hero Academia. I love talking to you guys. It's always a pleasure. Remember to like, subscribe if you are new, if you just came onto the stream and stuff like that. Channel members is an available thing, as we talked about earlier, and that's optional. You don't have to do it, but it's always appreciated, no matter what kind of support you guys give me. It's always appreciated. But yeah, thank you guys for stopping by. Not really any chats to read right now. Understandable. I did stream a little later than usual. So yeah, thank you guys for stopping by. I'll check you out. I love you.